Hey everyone, what's up? Gamer Guy 7 Aces here, back with another video. And today I want to talk about how stories in the Sonic games have devolved over the years or over the decades. Now, lately I've been seeing a lot of people campaigning for Ian Flynn for Sonic, or Ian Flynn to be the writer for the official games from Sega, the official Sonic games for Sega or Sonic Team. And I definitely agree with that. I don't know who would be against Ian Flynn writing the stories, because he's such a great writer, for the Archie comics and even the IDW comics. I know the IDW comics have gotten a bit of flack or criticisms, but they're still very young. It's still in its infancy and it's getting better. I mean, it alone has fleshed out Sonic's world better than Sonic Forces ever did. But stories have always been in Sonic games, even the very first game, but it was mostly told in the manuals than the official game. But it wasn't until Sonic 3 and Knuckles that the story actually took front and center in the game, with a lot of the cutscenes, the transitions, and a lot of the skeuomorphism, transitioning from one level to another. Angel Island was the first landmark in the Sonic series to feel like an actual living, breathing environment. It wasn't like, oh, Sonic 1 is in South Island, oh, Sonic 2 is in West Island, but every location was so completely different. Like Marble Garden, you have Roman architecture, and then you go to like Casino, or you go to like Labyrinth, and it just didn't mesh well. So, but Angel Island, everything felt like it was on one island. Even Carnival Night, that was pretty great, and it was the first Sonic game to start the lore of the Echidnas, which continued in future Sonic games like Sonic Adventure and all that. And Sonic Adventure, essentially felt like a classic Sonic game just in 3D, because it talked a lot about the Echidnas, how they got wiped out, Perfect Chaos, and all that, Tikal. So, I mean, yes, the story was a little bit messy, the narrative and then Big the Cat was unnecessary, but it was pretty good storytelling. Some people said the downgrade started with Sonic Adventure 2 or SA2, because that was the first true modern story for the Sonic games. It was about Gun, or Gun, Shadow, Ultimate Life Form, Dr. Gerald Robotnik. It was completely different from the classic stories, dealt more with humans. So, but the story was still pretty good. The problem with Sonic games is the idea is good, but the execution is always poor. And I'm pretty sure all of you guys watching this have seen Someone Call Me Johnny's review on both of the games. He tore apart the story of SA2. It really didn't make sense. And I even made a theory on Shadow having fake memories or fake memory syndrome, which I totally believe in that theory, because it just makes a lot of sense. But and then Sonic Heroes kind of went back to the more simple approach on story like the classic games. But Shadow the Hedgehog was the true de-evolution of the Sonic series. It was just terrible, completely dark, and that continued. Sonic 06 was just a fan fiction story. The villain was good though, Mephiles. I liked Mephiles, but everything else was just a mess. Then comes Unleashed. Unleashed was pretty good, had a great balance of action and story. I really liked Unleashed, it was pretty straightforward and still has the best kick-ass intro in the Sonic series. And then Black Knight King, which I think the story is very underrated. Maybe it's because the cutscenes dealt more with just the still images and sketches, but I really liked the story for Black Knight. It was really good. It was somber and serious, had jokes in, but as far as script-wise, Sonic and the Black Knight is the best written story in the Sonic series when it comes to dialogue and script. That was pretty good, pretty solid. Then enter Sonic Colors. I call that the meta era, because that's when jokes and memes took front and center. And the Color story, watching it again, is pretty cheesy, really cheesy. And Generations barely had a story. Lost World, I see what they were trying to do, but it was very disjointed. On one hand, you had the comedy light stuff, the cringy jokes, and then on the other hand, you had the serious dark dialogue sometimes, like what Eggman said, like, I will destroy everything you love and make you watch, or as long as I can strangle a Zeddy, my hands will be fine. It's just the dialogue was a bit try hard, trying to be edgy. And then the story was just all over the place. And then Tails, drama with Sonic was like, what? And Tails was just unlikable in that game. And then comes Forces. Tails was even more unlikable and disappointing, and Forces' story was just disappointing. I mean, I don't even need to say more. Even Sonic Mania, the whole connection with Forces just was forced, basically. But yeah, that's why Ian Flynn needs to be in these games. So he really needs to write a story for a future Sonic game. You know, I even made a tweet saying that when that moment when you're writing a theory for an upcoming game, but you realize that your theory is going to be better than the game's story, so it's like everything is pointless. But yeah, so that's the problem with a lot of Sonic games. They have great ideas, but doesn't necessarily mean great execution. So they need to know how to write a good script and dialogue, have a good plot, have character development for the characters, make them useful again. Tails, make him worthy again. I like the way they depict Tails in Sonic Mania Adventures. They need to do that again, except with dialogue. I don't want Tails to be saying "true dat" or saying, you know, a bunch of corny lines or stuff. And in the handheld series, Sonic actually had decent stories. I liked the story in Sonic Rush, the rivalry between him and Blaze. I like that. Rush Adventure was because I didn't like Marine. She was annoying. But yeah, that's about it. So what do you guys think about this? What is your favorite story in the Sonic series? And do you also agree that Ian Flynn needs to be in the Sonic games? He needs to write for the Sonic games. I really hope Sega's taking that into consideration, because that is something the fans have been rallying a lot for, that I fully support. I have made jokes that Izuka and Sega don't even care, because they probably don't, but I really hope they do. And I really hope the future Sonic game, or even if it's the Sonic movie game, Ian Flynn can write for that. Because, I mean, seriously, you have him writing for IDW Comics. Come on, just make him write for the games. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on the whole issue. Alright guys, you know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And stay tuned for my Sonic Theory coming soon. And yeah, take care. And until next time, swag out.